Hello everyone, I just wanted to say that as I'm already started doing the last video, I thought I'd get this one done as well. It's been on my list for a while and I thought I might as well do it now. This video is going to be about my personal top 10 favourite trad goth bands. These are bands that have helped me to find my identity, ones who I personally think are the best representations within the trad goth Batcave era. Once again, this is my own personal discourse and my opinion. This isn't me being an elite, it's saying that these are the ultimates. These are just my personal favourites and the one that I feel connected more to, and I would personally recommend if you're trying to get into that scene and get to know the music. So let's get started. Number 10 we have The Cure. I know this is a little bit low on the list for many of the goths out there who have idolised The Cure for many years. The reason why The Cure are on this low is because I do love them. I do like The Cure very much. In fact, I'm wearing the shirt at the moment. But to me, it's a case of, despite some of their works like The Forest and anything off the 17 Seconds and Faith album, basically during the movement away from post-punk and entering into gothic rock, personally I do like them, as I just said, but it's one of those where I personally love that sound, especially with Charlotte Sometimes, and they brought it back to the Pornography album with Hanging Gardens and 100 Years. And to me, that's my most personal favourite sound. If I was to recommend their gothic-y stuff, I would definitely recommend Pornography in 17 Seconds. With The Cure, they went to more commercial mainstream, which there's nothing to be wrong with that. I personally don't mind that, and I do love some of their more commercial stuff, such as Just Like Heaven. And I know it's a case of, I do idolise and respect them for being goth icons and for help revolutionise the gothic music scene. In that sense, to me, there were other goth artists who helped make that stature more prominent without going to the means to change their music that drastically. But I still do respect Robert Smith because of his movement and his inspiration for the backcombs hair, and I do give him a lot of credit for that, and I will always love The Cure no matter what song is played on. I'll always dance to it because it's a band that has helped me find my identity, but I'll always be more comfortable within their early stuff. Mind you, saying that, Bloodflower was quite good. Once again, would recommend that out as well. Okay, number 9, it's slightly cheating. It's more the early stages of death rock. I'll still personally count this within the list because it came around the same era as the Batcave and Batcave Movement. And I'm going to say that's Christian Death. Now, Christian Death are an American-based band, and that's all that I'd bear in mind. A lot of the bands I'm mentioning are from Britain because that's where a lot of the goth movement originated from, especially when the Batcave opened in 1982. So the reason why Christian Death are on this one is because, despite them being American, they did help solidify a permanent stature within the goth scene and help branch out death rock. Christian Death, to me personally, I admire because there's always been the argument between Roz Williams and Bela Klan of who ran Christian Death better. Personally, I'm always going to say Roz Williams because to me he was the epitome of Christian Death. He kept Christian Death to their goth root, to always be heard in the Catastrophe Ballet and Only Theatre of Pain, which is possibly the most iconic death rock album, and I would recommend it. Roz Williams has always been a massive inspiration onto me within music and imagery and everything like that. I idolised that guy massively, and I still do to this day. He's still probably my most favourite poet of all time. With Christian Death, during the Roz Williams era, it was a lot more creepy, it was a lot more gothy. You can tell that the atmosphere was just full of macabre and melancholy, and that's what made Christian Death so recognisable within the goth community. But then when he left and Bela Klan took over, the band did still have goth commercial success with stuff like Church and No Return, which is a good song obviously, but the case of the later stuff ended up going more metal, and it is still good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love a lot of the Bela Klan era, but personally to me, Roz Williams is always my personal favourite. But regardless, Christian Death have always and will always be a brilliant band to look up to, especially when you're growing up and getting into the goth culture. It's very recommended that you listen to them, and I personally recommend you to listen to both sides of Christian Death, see which ones you find better. Okay, number 8, I personally have gone for Love and Rockets. Bear in mind that many would debate that they're not goth, but I personally do see a lot of goth repertoire within their music, despite it being a lot more mellowed down. This can be seen in songs like The Light and The Teardrop Collector. For those who don't know who Love and Rockets are, they're basically three-fourths of Bauhaus, which were David J, Daniel Ash, and Kevin Haskins. And I put this band in because they're a very underrated band, and I do think that they deserve more recognition for what they are. It was a lot different to what a lot of people would kind of count and see as goth at the time. I mean, some good examples of their mixture of goth and kind of soft melancholy major, shall we say. It's stuff like All in My Mind, No Need Tell to Tell. Once again, it's one of those bands that you have to listen to yourself. But I know that Daniel Ash went to do Tones and Tail, and David J went to do solo stuff, which is also really, really cool. They help solidify a new sound, and it's one of those bands that when you mention to elder goths, they kind of feel a bit more surprised that you know about them. And they are a very good band to check out. I do recommend them quite highly. My next one is Siouxsie and the Banshees. Once again, you're probably thinking to me, why are they so low on the list? Firstly, because I do admire Siouxsie, and I do give a lot of credit for basically starting the goth imagery movement, along with her early post-punk mixture of proto-punk, shall we say, from the Scream album. And obviously Juju is one of their most well-known goth albums. The reason why that they are so low though is because, despite me being a follower of them and loving them, I personally, in my discourse, give more credit to other mentioning artists who I will be mentioning later on. Bear in mind that the Banshees are always going to seem more as a post-punk band more than a goth band. It's kind of the reason, similar with the Damned, they're always going to be seen more punk-based more than goth-based, because that was their original style. Once again, I'm not thinking less of Siouxsie and the Banshees. I do love them, as I said. They have a very interesting history. A lot of people would know that Sid Vicious was their drummer originally. Rod Smith played guitar with them for a while. It's a band that, when you get into the goth subculture, it's one of these that you have to hear about and listen to them, and it's a good thing because a lot of people would end up listening to Spellbound, which is a very iconic goth song in its own right. But you got the rest of the Juju album. You have other songs like Cities in Dust, which are more softer and melancholy due to the lyrical content, and it's just stuff like that. I will be making a video on the top 10 goth albums soon, but personally, for my discourse, why Siouxsie and the Banshees are mentioned as well as on this list is because of the impact they've had, and due to them, they help influence so many other bands that we listen to now. Okay, this next one is Cinema Strange. Now, Cinema Strange is an unusual band, kind of like Christian Death in that context, where they are a mixture of death rock and trad goth. I remember hearing them the first time with Laughing Blood and Murder. They're a very, very underground band, and they haven't been given that much recognition. That's why I thought I would put them in here. The reason why I put them on this list is because they show a lot of the codes, conventions we expect from gothic or Batcave or death rock, and it is a good band to recommend, especially if you're trying to look into the underground section and find bands that are too mentioned in the mainstream, or how a lot of other goth YouTubers like myself would do. But I thought I would give you a little mention in Cinema Strange. Once again, the reason why I put them on is because of their unusual technicality to add different genres. They're very theatrical, a little bit like Alien Sex Fiend in many ways, but to me they're always going to be a little more to the roots and not steer too away from goth and death rock. The reason why I put this as a trad band is because loads of trads nowadays, part of the trad goth community, are listening to more of them, very much like with Christian Death, where in many ways it's kind of like good to listen to death rock, so it kind of associates with trad goth for the time that they both came out during the 80s. You know, death rock came a couple of years after trad goth. Okay, number 5, I'm going to be mentioning The Fields of Nephilim. Now, this is a band where a lot of people will be thinking in many ways why they mention, why the Mission are mentioned, the Damned mentioned. Once again, as I said, I do love those two bands I just mentioned, love them to pieces, but to me this is my personal choices. So it's okay, so I'm not slating any of those two. I do love them, but to me I give The Fields of Nephilim the credit because they were a goth band or a trad goth band that many trads still listen to, who had a heavier approach to their music. If you listen to Dawn Razor or the Nephilim albums, you can hear that instantaneously. A lot of the open chord structure patterns that helped influence the modern gothic metal genres. When I saw them back in 2013 with The Mission, I was surprised on how brutal that their live sets can be, especially when it comes to the mosh pits. Because a lot of people stereotype that mosh pits won't happen at goth concerts, but when you get to Fields of Nephilim, it's highly recommended that it will, because they have a more driven force and more high tempo and speed. Carl McCoy's voice is just one of those that is renownedly stereotypical with the deep vibratos, but you can't help but love it, and I do love them. I fell in love with their set, I fell in love with them as people and music, and the way how they managed to just grasp the entire audience in suspension and shoegazing melancholy suspense. A good example of this is Last Exit for the Lost. It is a renowned and beautiful song. I mean, my personal favourite song from them is The Chord of Souls and For Her Light, and it's one of those that you need to listen to and understand, like, the raw power of Fields of Nephilim. They were just so different to like any of the other bands back then. I'm going to be mentioning The Birthday Party. Now, The Birthday Party, they're from Australia. They're Nick Cave's old band. They helped to solidify the trad goth movement. Even though they were Australian, they were heavily mentioned at the Batcave, which was held in London by Ollie Wisdom. As said, it's one of those that, with The Birthday Party, they had that alternative, really dark sound. It's kind of like you mix Tom Waits with more drugs and LSD and just Australian. That's, to me, that's the epitome of The Birthday Party, and it was a massive influence on me and my old singer when we first formed the Acid Ballet. I personally believe, because we were both heavily influenced by Nick Cave and The Birthday Party. The Junkyard album is a brilliant album to see this influence on. Songs like King Ink as well, where it's that rockabilly influence, but they also had that kick to it, into this dark, macabre sound, and The Birthday Party will always have that recognition and that honourable mention within the goth community. Unfortunately, they're no longer together because a few of the members have passed away. Nick Cave is still going strong with his solo stuff and with the Banshees. Personally, I just think that they're one of the few trad goths outside the UK to bring that rawness and spread the translocal scene around different continents of the world. Next one is Specimen, and the reason why Specimen are this high up is not only did Ollie Wisdom help form the Batcave, which started the whole movement, but they were one of these bands from the 80s that kind of mixed a lot of glam and androgyny and gender bending, which was influenced by Bowie at the time, into their set. If you look at the way how they dress, a lot of it was more feminine compared to the rest of the bands at the time. And it was just one of those where, if you heard a Specimen song, you can kind of gather that's the epitome of what trad goth, or a lot of trad goths would listen to them, but it was that type of sound of the 80s where goth was either this post-punk based, gloomy, dark shit, or have stuff like what the Specimen did, where they mix a lot of theatre and cabaret and theatrical performance within their sets, a lot of heavy androgynous makeup. And that helped solidify and influence death rock in many ways. Many people would deny this, but with Johnny Slut, their keyboardist, he is the one that's always been renowned as the first person with the death walk, and that has become solidified within trad and death rock especially. Songs like this that help solidify, you have Sharp Teeth, Pretty Teeth, you obviously have BB Poison. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is probably one of the most recognisable goth riffs on bass. And it's one of those party anthem songs that when you go into a goth club and it comes on, you'll see a roar of people that dance along to it. It's that raw attitude that helped influence bands like Ausgang as well with their song Wait. It's just one of those, and that's why I rate Specimen quite highly, not only just to start off the movement of the Batcave and help influence other goth clubs, but also their music. Number 2, my personal list, is going to have to be Sister Mercy. Now, Sister Mercy is high up in this list because as a musician I do take a lot of influence from their stuff, especially from their first album, but it's also the case of how they've solidified themselves permanently within the goth identity. As much as Andrew Elwich hates to be labelled within the goth stereotype, as well as any other goth artists I've mentioned like Robert Smith and Siouxsie, but with the Sister Mercy they've always had this individuality to them, where once post-punk helped solidify the blueprints of what the first wave of goth would be, Sister Mercy came along and used up and made it a lot more melancholy, added a lot more of the blues type of singing, and it helped kind of solidify that type of sound. And obviously through to some mercy, the Mission reformed when Wayne Hussey left. And to me, it's a case of when Wayne Hussey was in Sisters, that's when they had the best sound. First, Last and Always will always be my favourite album of Sister Mercy. I did go see them a couple of years ago in London. It was not bad, but you can tell that time has took their toll on the band. It was just an experience to go and see them, just so you can say that you've seen probably one of the most iconic goth bands of the time ever. But what makes Sister Mercy quite renowned, in my opinion, within the trad goth scene is not only did they rely on a drum machine, the Dr. Avalanche, but it was a case of they managed to make their music a lot more darker and macabre to what it is, which helped have its place in the trad goth community, such as Alice and Walk Away, Temple of Love, obviously, Kiss the Carpet. It's this band that you have to, once you listen to them, you can't help but feel the influence. I mean, Cradle of Filth covered their No Time to Cry song a few years ago, which was actually not too bad, but it just shows how much of an influence the Sisters have within popular music. And my number one favourite is Bauhaus. Personally, with Bauhaus, they're the first band that helped find my identity and introduce me to goth music. I stumbled them across by accident when I was on YouTube, and I think it was She's and Parties that I first listened to, and that, to me, that's what goth sounded like. That reverb, that distortion on the guitar, the effect, the bass, Peter Murphy's howling vocals, but mixing that melancholy, romantic suave as well. And to me, that helped solidify Bauhaus as my most favourite band in the trad goth community. It's one of these bands that they were shortly lived. They broke up a couple of times and rejoined, but now they're permanently no longer doing stuff, which is a shame. I had the opportunity to meet two of their members, David J, when he went to do his solo work, as well as Peter Murphy. I was fortunate enough to actually meet him and get a photograph of him. And he was probably the most loveliest person I've ever met. And they normally say don't meet your heroes, but I'm glad I met him. With Bauhaus though, to me what makes them my personal favourites and the most recommended one is the fact that they're not over-satired like Sister Mercy and Cure and Siouxsie, but it's a case that they still have that raw edge to them where a lot of the bands would try to break into a commercial success or move away from the goth genre. Bauhaus never tried to do that. They were always happy with the sound they had, with the influence it made. The cover of Ziggy Stardust helped solidify that. Even Bowie said at one point that he wished he recorded it like that. But also, bear in mind that Bauhaus were the first band to release one of the first goth tracks, which was Bela Lugosi's Dead in 1979. And it's one of those bands that once you understand like the song and the overall meaning, you kind of get your first taste on what goth music is, and that's what I did. I was bitten by the sound of Bauhaus. They will always be my favourites. The recommended albums I would suggest are Burning on the Inside is my favourite album. A couple of their singles such as Sanity Assassin, Starts Alive, even The Man with the X-Ray Eyes and Spy in the Cab, I'd recommend that. It's kind of walking into an abandoned theatrical performance and just becoming seated with the ghosts. That's how I see a lot of Bauhaus music in my metaphorical sense. It's just one awesome ride, and if you are planning to get into the goth genre and the goth music, I personally would recommend Bauhaus massively. Anyhow, that is my list for today. Be sure to comment wherever you wish. Please give a like and subscribe, share, and I shall see you very soon. Bye.